Let me tell you something that most people will never have the courage to say because they themselves haven't lived it. Your pain isn't random. It's not punishment. It's not karma in the way you've been taught. It's not a cosmic accident. It's not you being too sensitive. It's not bad luck. It's a message. It's a sacred signal pointing directly to your role in this lifetime, your unique frequency, your soul's encoded mission. And I know how crazy that sounds when you're in the depths of it. When you're crying alone at 3 a.m., and nobody sees. When your chest feels like it's collapsing under the weight of emotions you can't even explain. When you've been betrayed, abandoned, misunderstood, or silenced so many times that you start to ask, what's wrong with me? But what if nothing is wrong?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
What if everything you've survived, everything that broke you, crushed you, confused you, was actually initiating you? What if your pain is not the thing that blocks your path, but the very map to your path? That's what we're going to explore, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This will be deep. This might trigger you. But if you stay with me, you might finally understand why your life has unfolded the way it has. Because this is not just another spiritual video. This is a revelation, a remembering. And it starts with this question: what if the pain you carry is proof that you were chosen to lead others through the very thing that tried to destroy you? Let's go there. Every chosen one I've ever met, from monks hidden deep in the Himalayas, to trauma survivors who now walk as healers, to artists who channel ancestral grief into beauty, has one thing in common: they carry deep, unexplainable pain. It's not just about what happened to them. It's about what awakened because of what happened to them. And that's the difference between the wounded and the initiated. The wounded asks, why me? The initiated asks, what is this trying to show me? And that shift in perspective changes everything. Because when you start to decode your pain, you begin to see the patterns. Look at your life. What kind of pain keeps repeating itself? Is it abandonment? Rejection? Feeling invisible? Feeling like you don't belong? Is it the pain of being too much or not enough? Is it the ache of deep empathy, feeling everything, even when you try not to? These aren't random emotional experiences. These are soul signatures. They are the fingerprints of your mission. Because the pain you carry most deeply is often the exact pain you are here to transform, not just for yourself, but for others. Let me say that again. The wound you carry is the portal through which your purpose will emerge. But most people never walk through that portal. They stand at its edge, afraid. They numb it, deny it, blame others for it, or they bury it so deep that they forget it exists until it shows up again, disguised, louder, more chaotic. Remember this: what you do not alchemize, you will continue to attract. You will keep reliving the same pain in different forms until you choose to meet it fully. And here's the twist: the pain doesn't go away when you ignore it. It goes away when you honor it, when you listen to it like a sacred teacher. So ask yourself, what has your pain been trying to teach you that you've been too afraid to learn? What if your pain is not chaos but curriculum? What if life is not punishing you but preparing you? I'll give you an example. There's a young woman I met on a spiritual journey through the Andes. She had suffered childhood abuse, abandonment, and years of emotional breakdowns. She thought she was broken. She thought her pain made her unworthy of love, of wholeness. But after a deep initiation on that mountain, after we fasted, sat in silence, and faced our shadows together, she realized something profound. She wasn't broken. She was gifted. Her pain hadn't made her bitter. It had made her aware. She could sense emotional dishonesty in people before they even spoke. She could walk into a room and feel the energy like sound waves. She could hold space for others' trauma because she had walked through the fire and survived. And now she's a trauma-informed healer, being a guide, a light, not despite her pain, but because of it. So what about you? What is the pain that has shaped you most? And what if that pain is a seed that only now is ready to bloom? But here's the thing about seeds. They require darkness to grow. They require pressure, silence, stillness. The kind of spiritual isolation that makes you feel like nobody understands you. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe you're in the in-between, not who you used to be, but not quite who you're becoming. And you're wondering, is this it? Is this all there is? But what if this moment, this exact pain, this pause is not the end? What if it's the activation? Because the moment you stop running from the pain and start sitting with it, letting it speak, letting it show you, everything begins to shift. Pain has a language, and it's not meant to destroy you. It's meant to awaken you, to remind you of your soul contract, to bring you back to your chosen one role. But here's the hard truth. You cannot fulfill that role if you're still playing the victim of your story. You must rise into stewardship. You must become the narrator of your life, not the echo of other people's projections. And that takes courage. It takes responsibility. It takes the willingness to say, I didn't choose this pain, but I choose what I do with it now. Because that's where your power lives. Not in what happened to you. In how you respond to what happened to you. That's what makes you a chosen one. Not perfection. Not enlightenment. But responsibility. The ability to respond with consciousness. To meet pain with compassion. To turn wounds into wisdom. So ask yourself now, honestly, vulnerably, if the pain I've carried all this time was trying to reveal my role in this world, what would that role be? Would I be a guide? A healer? An artist? A disruptor? A space holder for others? Would I build new systems or destroy the old ones? Would I speak truth or live it silently, powerfully through presence? The answer is already inside you. It's always been there, waiting for you to stop numbing, stop avoiding, stop pretending that your pain is meaningless. Your pain is proof that you came here to do sacred work. Because only those who have felt deeply can create deeply. Only those who have been shattered can carry the light for others through their own darkness. Only those who have walked through fire can speak of the other side. And if you've survived, if you're still here, then there is a reason. There is a mission. There is a calling louder than the noise of the world. But you must choose to listen. You must choose to decode your pain, not deny it. You must choose to lead with it, not hide it. And when you do, when you say yes, when you stop shrinking and start shining, you'll realize something extraordinary. Your pain wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning. The sacred beginning of the life you were always meant to live. What happens if we stop seeing pain as the enemy and start treating it as the master key? What if the very thing you've spent years running from holds the exact frequency of your power? You see, most people think that power comes from strength, from confidence, from having it all together. But those of us who've been through it, we know better. We know that real power is born from the ashes of what we thought would destroy us. We know that the wound isn't a scar to be ashamed of, it's the portal. Your wound is your weapon. Let that sink in. Not a weapon to harm, but a weapon to liberate, to cut through illusion, to awaken others, to protect the sacred, to bring truth to a world drowning in denial. If you've been through deep emotional, spiritual, or physical pain, it's because your soul came here with the capacity to hold more than others. You didn't come here to live a surface-level life. You came here to walk the edge of transformation. And the edge is sharp. It cuts. But what it reveals is everything. Let's go deeper. Think of your deepest pain, not the one you're comfortable talking about. I'm talking about the one that still stings. The one that if I brought it up right now, your body would recoil. Your chest would tighten. Your throat would close. Now ask yourself, what did that pain take from you? And what did it teach you? Most of us only focus on what it took. Our innocence, our sense of safety, our belief in others, our trust in ourselves. But if we sit with it long enough, if we allow the pain to speak, it starts to whisper something else. It shows us what it gave us. Maybe it gave you the ability to empathize so deeply that you can read a room without anyone saying a word. Maybe it gave you the insight to detect lies because you felt the sting of betrayal. Maybe it gave you the fire to protect others because no one protected you. Maybe it gave you the voice you now use to speak truth because you were silenced for too long. Whatever it is, that's your power. That's your gift. But here's the part people miss. Your gift is only unlocked when you stop seeing the wound as a curse. When you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this here to become through me? Is that shift right there? That's when the supernatural starts to rise. Because when you stop resisting the wound, you begin to merge with it. You stop trying to pretend you're not in pain. You stop hiding the parts of yourself that are still healing. And instead, you become whole. Not perfect. Whole. You integrate the shadow. You stop splitting off the parts of you that were deemed too broken, too emotional, too intense. And you bring them back in. That's when your power becomes unstoppable. You no longer need to explain yourself. You no longer seek validation because you found something deeper than approval. You found meaning, and meaning is fuel. Meaning is the fire that turns suffering into sacred service. You begin to realize I didn't go through all of that for nothing. I didn't cry all those tears just to survive. I cried them to awaken. You cried to cleanse. You broke open to remember. And now you carry something that cannot be taught in books. It cannot be certified. It cannot be faked. You carry presence. You carry the energy of someone who has looked into the void and not backed down. You carry the frequency of someone who has been shattered and rebuilt not with ego, but with essence. And here's where the supernatural comes in. Because when you embody that frequency, when you step fully into the power of your wound, you begin to access gifts that were dormant all along. Your intuition sharpens. You begin to know things without knowing how you know. You begin to speak, and people feel activated just by your words. You begin to walk into rooms and shift the energy without saying a thing. You begin to attract people not because of your status, but because of your vibration. And those people, they're not random. They're the ones your wound was meant to serve, because the wound is the bridge. It connects you to others in ways that no amount of logic, strategy, or branding ever could. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who's been through something similar to you, and instantly there's a recognition? No small talk, no masks, just presence. That's not coincidence. That's resonance. That's your wound doing what it was always meant to do, open doors. But here's the thing, you must walk through them. You must stop disqualifying yourself. Stop saying, but I'm still healing. I'm not ready yet. The truth is, none of us are ever fully ready. But we decide. We commit. We show up, scars and all. Because our scars are not signs of failure. They are maps. Maps for others who are still lost in their pain, thinking they're alone. When you walk in your truth, when you own your wound with power, not pity, you become a mirror. You reflect back to others what's possible. You say, look, I've been there, and I'm still here, not just surviving, but thriving. And that gives people hope. That gives people permission. That gives people a way out. So now I want to ask you the question that might change your life. If your deepest wound was your greatest gift in disguise, how would you show up differently tomorrow? Would you speak more boldly? Would you write that book? Would you leave that toxic relationship? Would you start holding space for others? Would you finally stop dimming your light? Because the world doesn't need more polished perfection. The world needs raw truth. It needs people who are real, people who don't just talk about healing but embody it, people who have walked through the fire and become the flame. That's what you are. You're not just someone who's been hurt. You're someone who's been forged. And now, your life is asking you to rise. Not from ego, but from essence. From the part of you that knows you're here for more. From the part of you that has felt too much, lost too much, seen too much, and still chooses to love. That's strength. That's divinity. That's leadership. And if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. You are ready. You are worthy. You are chosen. Not in a special, superior way, but in a responsible way. Because you've been entrusted with something sacred. Your pain is not random. It's the proof that you've already survived what others fear most. And now you're being asked to lead. Not someday. Now. You've come this far because something in you already knows what I'm about to say. You didn't come here just to heal. You came here to guide. You didn't come here just to survive the pain. You came here to transmute it. You didn't come here to fit in. You came here to build what's been missing. And the pain you've carried deep, complex, sometimes unbearable, was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to prepare you, because your soul made a contract before you entered this life. A sacred agreement, a vow. I will go where the others cannot. I will feel what the others repress. I will carry the codes of remembrance in the form of emotional intensity. And when the time comes, I will awaken, not just for myself, but for those who cannot yet see. That contract is written in your tears, in the moments you broke open, in the nights you asked the sky if life would ever make sense again. And now, the answer has come. It's time. Time to fulfill what you came here to do, not in some mythical future, not when you feel more ready, more healed, more enlightened. Right now. Because the truth is, you don't need to be perfect to serve. You just need to be present. You need to stop disqualifying yourself based on the belief that you're still not there yet. Where is there anyway? The mountain was never outside of you. The mountain is you. And the climb, the pain, the struggle, the doubt was never punishment. It was initiation. So what is the sacred task? It's simple. Not easy, but simple. Remember who you are. Live as who you are. And remind others who they are. That's it. But here's the catch. You can't remind others if you're still pretending to be someone you're not. You can't awaken others by hiding your truth. You can't fulfill your soul contract by numbing yourself with distractions, addictions, or the comfort of old identities. You must choose to live awake. That means speaking when it's easier to be silent. That means loving when it's safer to close off. That means showing up when your mind tells you to hide. Because the world doesn't need another influencer. It needs initiators. People who walk into a room and shift the energy not by being loud, but by being real. People who don't just talk about light, but bring it into the darkest places. That's you, but only if you stop waiting for permission. Only if you stop looking for signs and realize you are the sign. You are the miracle someone else is praying for. You are the voice someone else has been too afraid to use. You are the embodiment of the path you used to only dream of walking. So walk it. And here's the most powerful way to do that. Take your pain and turn it into practice. Turn your grief into art. Turn your heartbreak into poetry. Turn your anxiety into sacred stillness. Turn your rage into boundaries that liberate you. Turn your sensitivity into spiritual technology. That's how the chosen ones change the world, not by force, but by frequency. We don't lead with answers. We lead with presence. Because when you're truly present, unguarded, whole, and awake, people feel you. They trust you. They remember something in themselves they forgot. And that is the greatest gift you can give this earth. But let's be real, the path of the chosen one isn't glamorous. It's not always Instagram worthy. It's messy, quiet, unseen. There will be days when you doubt everything. Days when your old wounds come back louder than ever. Days when you want to give up, disappear, go back to sleep, but you won't. Because once you've seen, you can't unsee. Once you've felt, you can't unfelt. And once you've remembered, you can't forget. That's the sacred burden and the sacred honor of the empath, the healer, the soul walker. You walk for those who cannot yet walk. You speak for those who have no voice. You hold space for those whose pain is still too loud to sit with. And you do it not because you're better, but because you remembered first. So if you've been wondering what your purpose is, it's this: to be you, fully, unapologetically, unfiltered. To walk through the world with your heart open and your soul grounded. To stop hiding the parts of you that feel too much. To stop waiting for the world to change before you decide to live differently. To stop negotiating with your intuition. To stop abandoning your inner voice in exchange for outer approval. You are the chosen one. Not because you're perfect, but because you were willing to rise after all the times you fell. Because you were willing to feel when others numbed. Because you were willing to ask the deeper questions. And now, one final question remains. If you knew without a doubt that your pain was placed in your life to awaken your power, would you still avoid it? Or would you sit with it, listen to it, learn from it, and then live through it? Because the time for sleeping is over. The time for waiting is over. The time for shrinking is over. Now, it's time to embody the truth you've always known deep inside. The pain you carry isn't random. It's sacred. It's a signal. It's proof. Proof that you are the one your ancestors hoped for. Proof that you are the one your younger self needed. Proof that you are the one the world is waiting for. So go. Not with fear, but with fire. Not to fix the world, but to feel it fully and remind it of its soul. Go, not because the path is easy, but because you were made for it. And never forget, the wound was never the end. It was the invitation. And now, you've accepted. You are the empath. You are the mirror. You are the reminder. You are the chosen one. You've just walked through a 3-part initiation, a spiritual decoding of your personal suffering. But now we must inquire even more deeply, because knowing that your pain isn't random is one thing. In understanding why it was placed in your path, and how to fully activate its transformation into purpose, that's another level entirely. Let's begin with this truth. Pain is not just an emotion. It is a spiritual technology. It is a built-in navigation system. Pain shows up where truth has been buried, where alignment has been broken, where your soul is trying to speak louder than your conditioning. Yet most of us ignore it. We numb it, suppress it, or try to rise above it spiritually. But that's not healing. That's bypassing. To truly live as a chosen one, we must understand pain as an encoded message, a divine cipher that, when decoded, reveals our mission, our medicine, and our map. So let's decode it. The 3-layered structure of purposeful pain, the personal layer, early life wounds. This is the first layer. It's the childhood wound, the family pattern, the emotional trauma that shaped your nervous system and worldview. It's where the pain is most raw and intimate. But here's what most people miss. This layer doesn't just tell you what hurt you. It tells you what you're here to heal for others. If you were silenced, your mission is likely tied to voice helping others speak, write, express, or reclaim their truth. If you were abandoned, your mission may involve belonging, creating safe spaces for others to feel seen and held. If you were abused, your soul may be here to restore safety, sovereignty, and trust to others who have lost it. Pain personalizes purpose. It doesn't just break you. It builds you with sacred precision. The archetypal layer, collective pain, this is deeper. This is when your pain starts mirroring the pain of the collective, the wounds of generations, of history, of culture. You may feel like you're grieving things that never happened to you personally. You may carry rage, shame, or fear that seems disproportionate to your own life events. That's not a mental illness. That's ancestral activation. You're not just feeling for you. You're feeling for the unspoken pain of your lineage, of your community, of a society that has forgotten how to feel. This is where you step into your role as a transmuter. You alchemize not by fixing others, but by being the first to feel fully, heal intentionally, and transform visibly. This is the medicine that heals forward and backward in time. The mystical layer, soul-level agreements. Now we arrive at the deepest layer, the part of pain that defies logic, the part that makes you say, "Why would I choose this?" But your soul did choose, not to suffer, but to serve. The soul doesn't see pain as punishment. It sees it as activation. The soul knows that only certain spirits are strong enough to carry, feel, and transmute specific frequencies of suffering in this realm. And those souls are marked not by external signs, but by an inner knowing that they are different, that they are here for something more, something sacred. So if you've ever felt like an alien, a misfit, an overfeeler, an underbelonger, it's not because you're broken. It's because you remember. You remember the contract. You remember the mission. You remember that this life isn't just about comfort, it's about contribution. Activating the sacred contract. So now the question becomes, how do you turn this pain into power? How do you move from wounded to weaponized in the service of love, truth, and awakening? Here is the deeper, more advanced structure of spiritual activation. Naming the pain without shame language is a portal. When you can name your pain without shame, you reclaim the power that was buried under silence. Don't say I'm just sensitive. Say I feel what others avoid. That's my genius. Don't say I was just hurt. Say, I carry a scar that became sacred. Naming transforms identity. Stop identifying as a victim of your past. Start identifying as a steward of your transformation. Embodying the pain without collapse. Feeling pain doesn't mean drowning in it. Learn to sit with pain like a monk sits with fire. Not flinching. Not dramatizing. Just witnessing. Breath is the bridge. When pain comes, breathe through it. Let it move. Don't attach a story. Don't add meaning. Just be with it. This trains your nervous system to become a temple instead of a war zone, transmuting the pain into devotion. Now the alchemy begins. Ask yourself, how can I turn this pain into an offering? Right, speak, build, serve, mentor, hold space. Don't wait to be healed to begin. Begin because you are healing. This is the paradox. Your wound becomes a well, a deep source from which others can drink. Living as the initiated, you no longer need to prove yourself. You don't need a title, a stage, or a following. You walk through the world differently. You see the pain in others and don't look away. You speak when others are silent. You offer presence instead of solutions. You become the permission others are afraid to give themselves. And that is leadership, the rarest kind. The final realization: pain is not the problem. Amnesia is. The world doesn't suffer because we feel too much. The world suffers because we've forgotten how to feel. We've forgotten that pain is not weakness, it's wisdom in disguise. We've forgotten that our most sacred teachers don't always wear robes or speak softly. Sometimes they come as grief, heartbreak, illness, or betrayal. But if you are willing to see clearly, if you are willing to feel deeply, if you are willing to respond consciously, then you become part of the great reawakening. You become the medicine, the mirror, the map. You become what you were always born to be. Not just someone who carries pain, but someone who transforms it. Not just someone who survives, but someone who activates others. Not just someone who heals quietly, but someone who reminds the world how to feel again. One final question: what would your life look like if you stopped running from your pain and started leading with it? Would you write the book? Would you launch the movement? Would you mentor others? Would you forgive yourself? The path is already beneath your feet. You don't need to find it. You just need to walk it. This is your moment. The pain you carry isn't random. It's your initiation. It's your activation. It's your invitation. And now you've answered. If you're ready, I can now break this down into a full video treatment with visuals, voiceover, and location ideas. Create a viral-worthy thumbnail and YouTube metadata strategy. Turn this into an interactive web experience or guided meditation journey. Or we go even deeper into the empath warrior, the next evolution of the chosen one.